Welcome to the fourth installment of Bad Lighting, Bad Stories featuring 12 times Peter has homework.
Link to the fic down below.
We're a third of the way through, so be prepared for 2/3 more of this. Chapter 4 is Wanda.
Peter likes talking to Wanda.
Ooh.
Maybe it's the fact that they've both been the youngest Avengers, so they bond over that. But whatever the case, they just get along smashingly. Do you know the formula for the volume of a sphere? He asks, tapping the edge of his pencil against his lower lip. She laughs and points at his notes. You must have it written down somewhere in that mess. Peter groaned and tipped his head back. But I don't want to look for it, he grumbled, even as he shuffled through the mess that was his math folder. Come on, don't you have homework to do or something too? The edges of her lips quirked in amusement as she replied, I've already graduated, and besides that, there wasn't much time for school in my childhood. Peter felt a stab of guilt, and at the reminder, and he groaned, Right, sorry, that was rude. She laughed, light and amused. It wasn't, not really. I could try to help you, but I don't think I'd be able to do much. Yeah, well, I mean, no, I'm sure that you could do something to help. I mean, even if you couldn't, Peter sighed and made a vague motion with his hands, accidentally dropping some of his papers in the process. Wanda kept smiling at him and shrugged as she sat down cross-legged on the armchair of the sofa. Just because someone's strength does not lie in one subject doesn't mean that they are not fine. Peter's shoulders loosened up and he smiled tentatively at her. Right, he agreed, breathless and relieved. You're awesome, no matter what you know or don't know. Wanda's eyes lit up with something childishly happy, and she turned bright red and asked, You think I'm awesome? Peter snorted as he ducked under the table, fingers scrabbling for the paper as his eyes flickered to Wanda. Yeah, you're kind of a superhero. You're a superhero too, Wanda pointed out, her eyebrows raised. So you're saying you're awesome too, by default? Peter turned bright red as he gathered up the rest of the papers and shook his head quickly. No, I'm not. I mean, I didn't say that. I just mean that you'd be awesome even if you weren't a superhero because every aspect of you is. I mean, his head smashed against the table and suddenly he couldn't quite remember what he was talking about. Well, that's very sweet of you to say, Wanda said, her voice soft and fond and kind. But Peter didn't quite hear her properly anymore through the strange haze that was coming over him, and suddenly it was hard to breathe, and she was down next to him demanding, Peter, are you okay? Him vaguely noting that she said Peter with a bit of a strange accent and a roll of the tongue through the fog that was beginning to consume all else. She pulled him up. Wait, wasn't there a table over his head? And he pulled the papers close to his chest, breathing coming out fast and shallow, and it was so hard to breathe. Was he dying? That was scary. Jarvis, call someone, Wanda yelled, and reached out to pull Peter into a more comfortable position, but it was a bit hard to do, and as soon as she touched him, his mind glazed over and he backpedaled fast. The detached marvel that he could move, he was free, he was fine, rolling through his head. Hey, Peter. And her voice was calm again, as smooth as water, but still shaking a bit, her smile a bit too wide to be anything but forced, as she called in front of him and held up her hands. I just need you to breathe for me, okay? Peter drew in a shaky, shallow breath. I'm breathing. She offered him another comforting but wobbly smile. Breathe with me, okay? In, out, in, out. Yeah, that's good. Nice and deep. And by the time that help arrived, they were frying and laughing at the smoothie bar. So the man just goes, but it's pink. And Pietro goes, and you have a problem with that? And then the man stutters, no. And Pietro says, good. And then the next thing I know, the man is covered in pink glitter. And I was laughing so hard. Wanda snickered as she spread her arms out. And he was screaming, and Pietro just grins and said, you didn't see that coming? Peter laughed, full and wide and loud. That sounds so awesome. You know what we should do? We should make the tower pink sometime. We won't even draw attention to it or anything. Just, paint it pink overnight and leave it like that. That would be fantastic. Wanda laughed, and Peter was laughing back. And just for then, it was all right. I just wanted to let you know that this definitely got more intense than I expected. This is the most dramatic that this story has been so far. So I hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to part 5, and I'll see you tomorrow.